You're listening to the Joe Camo Show. Real sports, real talk.
All right, guys, fantasy football counselor, welcome to the Joe Camo Show here. And I've got a very special guest here today. I don't think he knows it, but him and I were actually on a reality show together. Dave, what's going on, man?
How you doing? Which show? Showtime?
Yeah, Showtime. They used a clip. I wasn't in the show, but they used a clip of my YouTube video on the show. Believe it or not, you and I are, on the same show.
I didn't even watch that garbage, man.
You didn't even watch a show?
I watched part of it, but it's just manipulation by Showtime. It's all good, but any publicity is good publicity for me. It didn't show the real me, but it is what it is.
It is. I want to deep dive a little bit and learn the real you, and I'm really loving what I'm doing. I started the joke. Well, I had the fantasy football podcast. I don't know if you know much about me. Fantasy football podcast for 4 years, crushed it on Instagram, being kind of the face of fantasy, crushing those white collar a-holes that give fake fluffy advice. So I built my brand there. I'm a little bit of a shock jock in fantasy football. You are the GOAT of sports betting. There's no doubt about it. And I'm glad that we're having this conversation because I've shocked the fantasy industry. You've shocked the sports industry, period. And I just really want to pick your brain. I want to dive into sports betting. I want to learn about you because what I like about you is I think that you seem like a real, genuine person. You don't seem like that fake person, the cookie cutter, white collar kind of guy. And I want to learn more, Dave.
Yeah, for sure. I'm real. Some people love it. Some people hate it, but I don't care, man. They still watch my shit. So it's all good.
Vegas Dave in the house. So I want to talk about sports betting here first and foremost, because you're obviously probably, if not the best sports bettor on the planet. And I guess I've been hearing journalists say, they ask you what your secret is and you tell people it's intuition. There's got to be more to that, right? Like, what are we talking? Like, what is the secret here? Is there any secret to get the edge in sports betting?
I mean, intuition is a part of it, but when I say intuition, I can read the lines. People can't read the lines. The casinos are very smart when they put the lines up. It's hard work, skill, and I lost for 5 or 10 years. Back and forth. I was a millionaire 12 times by the age of 30 sports betting. I lost it all 12 times. So people don't know what it's like to hit rock bottom and get back to a millionaire status and lose it again 12 times. So hard work, skill, perseverance, and intuition. I can read the lines. I have a gift. I know when the lines are off by 3 or 4 points, those are sucker bets for most people. And I know which side and when to go the opposite side. That's what I'm good at.
It's really strange because you had this one game during the season where I think the Jets beat the Rams and the Bengals beat the Steelers in another game. Is there some things you just can't read? It's like, okay, I didn't expect that. Or do you is it more of an, because I think, again, I'm not an expert at this, but I have a good sense of stuff. To me, it's kind of like with fantasy football, what goes up must come down, right? It's like everybody was on Christian McCaffrey this year. He's going to have this great year. Draft him first of all. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Listen, things change. He had 470 PPR points. It's going to go down. Whether an injury happens, it's this feeling of like what goes up. Do you kind of have that feeling too when you're betting? Is that what I'm talking about? I don't even know what the word
well, no, that's for the sports card market. Yes, what goes up must go down, but not for sports betting because there's either a right or a wrong answer. So regarding the Rams and Jets, that line was right. It was a double-digit spread. Now the Rams were only favored by 7,
right,
or a touchdown on the hook. Then that'd be a red flag to take the Jets. But that line was a double-digit favorite. So that line was right. They just got upset. You never think Adam Gase would beat Sean McVay. Sean McVay is one of my favorite coaches, and Peyton, their bosses. And number 2, the Bengals-Steelers, that's a rivalry, and the Steelers already won 1 game. So it's very hard in the division to sweep both games. There's a tip for people out there that I shouldn't be sharing, but it's very tough to sweep both games in divisional series.
Right. That's a good tip. So I got to ask you also with players, are you good at sensing players? For example, right now, I've got this in my hand. I paid $150 for it. It's a Josh Allen rookie silver card. I paid $150 for it a year and a half ago. It's selling. Last one sold on eBay for $5,000. I got to ask you, this is just for me, for my advice, please. Do I hang on to Josh Allen? Is he the real deal or is this something to sell now?
Sell. One, sports card market, it's about the market you're in. Buffalo Bills is not a big sports card market. So no matter how great he does, which I don't believe in him, and I'll share that in a bit, the market will never drive that card all the way to the top, okay? Big teams like the Raiders, the Giants, the Cowboys, like when Zeke and Dak were hot, those cards were 6-figure cards. You need to pick a player on a big market team. Buffalo is not a big market team. And number 2, I'm not a big Josh Allen fan. And right now, the market is booming. We're at the top of the bubble. This card market is going to bust in 2 years. So in 2 years, this Josh Allen card won't even be worth $5,000. Get it while you can, while the market's hot. There's always a time to sell. There's always a time to buy. And this is a time to sell in the sports card market.
It's interesting. I want to hear your theory on that because I hear other sports card. I had this sports card investor on the other day. He's doing a lot of stuff with sports cards, and he was saying that it might be. I was listening to one of his videos as well. It's like, why would the bubble burst? I mean, it's like fantasy. You're always going to have new players. You don't have new cards. Is it the fact that maybe Panini brings out more sports cards? Could that be it?
No, the reason why the market went up. So listen, no one really got into treat this as a business until I sold those trout cards. And what happened was when I sold the trout card for 900,000 and 4 million, the reason why the card market went through the roof is because it was perfect time with the pandemic. All these rich people were losing money in stocks when the virus hit. So they had to diversify their portfolio. So then they started investing in cards. And when those cards hit for 900,000 and 4 million, it hit the press and everyone jumped on the bandwagon. Now people are paying $5.2 million for Mickey Mouse. This is the stupidest fucking buy in the world. There's no room for growth. There's no room for growth. It's just like a fuck you statement just to buy the card. Am I allowed to swear in here or no?
Yeah. Swear whatever you want. Yeah.
So, that's not a smart buy because if you pay 5.2 million, where's the growth going to be? There's not room to grow. And the market right now it's at a bubble. I mean, I predicted the card market would explode 3 years ago before Gary Vee and everyone did. I made a video that said this is going to break the records and explode. And I'm the first person to say it's going to fall apart. And all the people that are buying the Lucas and the Giannis's out of 300 are going to lose their ass. The only cards that are going to hold value are the short print cards out of 1 out of 5 out of 10 out of maybe out of 99. After that, all the people are going to get burnt in the sports card market.
Wow. So try to aim for serial number cards then as much as possible.
Low print, supply and demand. That's why the trout was 4 million because it's a 1-on-1.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I just had Patrick David on the show too. He was the guy that just had that big sale. I think he sold 2 Gretzky's or something like that. So he was on the show as well. He's really getting into it too, but maybe you're right. He sold it and cashed out now. Why not? Right?
Yeah. A lot of people are pushing for the card market because a lot of people are invested in it. So they can't tell people that the market's going to fall apart because they got, skin in the game. Me, I'm real. It's going to fall apart. Mark my words, in 2 to 3 years, everyone buying out these overpriced pricing are going to get toasted. They're going to lose their ass.
All right. I might as well sell soon. That's why I got fantasy football. That market, I think, is always going to grow. Do you agree? Fantasy, it doesn't end. It's like sports betting.
I've never got involved in fantasy because when it started, none of my friends would let me join. So no one would ever let me join for years. So I don't know nothing about fantasy, nothing. So I can't even give you, I've never followed it. I know it's growing, but I don't know. I don't want to speak on something I don't have knowledge on.
Okay, can we talk about some betting secrets? I don't know what you're allowed to say or what you're not allowed to say, but this is my theory. You can comment or not. I think the fix is in. I think certain games are fixed. I don't want to hold you to. I don't want you to be held accountable. You don't have to say anything. This is just me talking again, I don't know anything about this. This is my gut feeling. I think certain games are fixed, whether it be the refs, the coaches, the players. I don't even know. But there's games where like I had a spread and I needed one more game. This is like 3, 4, 5 years ago where Aaron Rodgers just completely shits the bed. I'm like, his physiology isn't there. Like, why are you not fucking trying right now? I just need one more point to cover the spread. Players shit the bed, the coach, the play, it's off by inches. Like, what is your thought? Can you share any of that? Would you guess that the fix is in some games without saying what the fix is? I don't know what you can say, but what are your thoughts on it?
My response to that is I'm not calling you out. I'm calling it, just saying in general, you're a sore loser. There's no such thing as a fix. And with the gambling world right now, those are felonies. I mean, that's fraud. Those are punishment up to prison time. Now, 10, 20 years ago, yeah, there was fixes in the MAC, in the small schools, because you could pay those kids in the MAC conference that weren't going to go pro level $20,000, $50,000, which seemed like $1 million to a kid like that, to take a knee or throw an interception. But in today's world, there's no fixing. When I tell people, if you win by a Hail Mary, you're like, yes. But if you lose by a Hail Mary, you say it's fixed. So I just tell people you're a sore fucking loser because listen, if I lose on a pick six, I tell my players, keep your head up because what goes around comes around, and we'll win by a punt return for a touchdown. We'll win by a phantom pass interference called by the ref. Now, in regards, you said you needed one more team and Aaron Rodgers shit the bed. That should be a lesson to you. You should play less teams in a parlay. That's God telling you a message that, you're stretching it. So stick to the straight bets.
Okay, one more thing I heard that you called, and I had a gut feeling about this. I'm not a betting expert, so I'm not going to say that I am. But I think it was the 2016 Super Bowl. It was the Broncos and the Panthers, And I knew for some reason, and it was just, again, it was that intuition thing. So maybe it was the fix wasn't in. We had Peyton Manning throwing beach balls out there. And I just said, okay, it's Peyton Manning Super Bowl. He's going to get another ring before he retires. I called it with Ray Lewis, the Harbaugh Bowl. I'm like, oh, what a great storyline. I think sometimes great storylines prevail, right? So there's things like that circle in my head that say something's off. And then now this year, all of a sudden they beef up Brady's team. He's on the Buccaneers. And all of a sudden now Breeze is, right before he retires, he's making a run for it. Like, do you think that maybe Brady's going to get another ring before he retires? And I'm thinking that's where I think it's kind of like things happen. Stars align for these stars. I don't know.
Well, you only think that because they're playing a playoff game this Saturday or Sunday. If they weren't in the playoffs, you wouldn't be thinking that. People start to think about things when the magnifying glass is on that subject. You're not thinking about this until they hit the playoffs when they're losing 3 games in a row.
No, I had it. I was thinking about this from the beginning. This is me. I always think this. I'm crazy like that. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't.
I don't at all. It is what it is. I mean, I predicted the Saints to win the Super Bowl when Breeze got injured. That's when I told my players to attack, because when Taysom Hill came in, everyone was like, oh my God, no shot. I looked at that schedule. I was like, he can go 3-1. And what people don't understand is that if Breeze was healthy, he's probably going to have one bad game in 4-game stretch. So he's probably going to go 3-1 too. And I was right. Taysom Hill did the same exact numbers that I predicted Breeze would do. And they're in the same position. And those odds went from 5-1 to 20-1. And that's when I told my players to attack.
So what are some practical tips? Okay, so that doesn't sound like the fixes, and you just got to make smart decisions. So if I'm obviously we go to your website. How do you find your website? I know you sell packages and how does it work? You basically have picks and they just, like, let's say I want the spreads for this week. I could just order that package from you.
You go to my Instagram page. It's Vegas Dave, and there's like 100 fraud accounts. Mine is with a blue check mark. I think it's close to 3 million followers. You click the link in my bio, and my picks, $1,000 for a pick. Some people can't afford me. I charge $1,000 for one pick, and that's what I do. And hundreds and thousands of people buy it. I show it on the internet, and the reason why people pay $1,000 a pick is because I produce results. People can't afford to pay me $1,000 for a pick. They got juice, then they got to win to offset the cost. So if I don't win at a very high percentage, people don't buy the picks.
Okay, so I don't want your secrets. Obviously, there's some sort of, is it like, would you say there's an algorithm to this that you've kind of figured out? Is there okay, for example, if the Cleveland wins 4 games in a row, there's an algorithm in my mind that says, okay, they're probably going to lose this one, law of averages type thing. Does that
can work, especially in baseball? You see it baseball. It does work. I mean, It does kind of work, but mostly in baseball. Like, even if you have a shitty team, let's say the Orioles, even though they did decent this year, say the Orioles lose 7 games in a row, right? Yeah. They're going to be an underdog every single game. You could just double at plus money, because at the end of the day, they're still professional athletes. At the end of the day, a pro team is not going to lose 8, 9, 10, 20. You can keep doubling. So things like that you can on baseball, but I wouldn't do it on football.
And do you do MMA betting as well?
I did, but they banned me from they lowered the limits on that. I stopped betting years ago when they banned me. But my focus right now is so much on football, basketball, baseball, and hockey that, I could do an MMA package, and I've done in the past, but if I don't feel good about the fight, I'm not going to sell it. I bring value to my clients. I could do a package this week and I make $100,000 off it, but I'd rather not do it because I'm focused on the other sports right now. I'm very loyal to my paying players.
Okay, a lot of people are asking too. I just wanted your opinion on this because I'm diving more into sports card. I'm fully immersed in the sports card thing. Maybe I'm riding the trend or whatever you want to call it. But what is the play? What players, rookies? Is it LaMelo? Which player, maybe second, third year, do you think is going to be that generational superstar? I just wanted your opinion. A couple of guys that you can throw names out. Maybe
I only invested in 2 people, and both people. Everyone laughed at me for Mike Trout, and I made millions off that. And I invested $2 million in Derek Carr. And the Derek Carr market went from $100 a card to $30,000 a card in the last month, probably because people trust my vision. But let me tell you about my vision with Derek Carr. Is he the best quarterback in the league? Absolutely not. But my vision is, I'm a businessman. The Raiders are a big market team. Ask yourself this: why did the NFL put the Raiders on 5 primetime games this year? More than any other team, more than the Super Bowl champions, Kansas City Chiefs. Why? Because the NFL has fucking vision, and they're smart about marketing. So when the Raiders moved to Vegas, it would be the biggest thing that ever hit sports entertainment. That's what I felt. So I bought all the Derek Carr rookies up. Unfortunately, COVID hit, so the stadium couldn't be cranking. But next year, when that stadium's cranking, and Carr had the worst receivers in football. His number one receiver was a tight end, Darren Waller. When they have receivers, and Gruden is a winner, I believe in Gruden. So my vision is that people, Carr sucks. Listen, dude, this is a 2 to 3 year vision. They will make a Super Bowl run, and anything tied to the silver and black will go up. And then what card gets what card goes up the most? The quarterback's card. And I cornered the market with card.
Yeah, I'm not a Carr fan, but I definitely see what you're saying. I think there's something special there if he gets the right receivers in play. Are you a Jacobs fan by any chance or no?
Not really. He declined this year from last year.
Long story. I don't know if you know the story. I'm going to share a story with you now real quick. There should be a boxing match between me and Josh Jacobs. And he ended up saying F your fantasy teams on his story mode and said that he wouldn't play a playoff game. It was our fantasy football championships. And he came out and said that I'm not going to play this game on his story mode. People got pissed off, didn't start him, did start him, whatever it is. So I basically did a shout out saying that was a fucking bullshit move. You suck. I said something along that line. He DM'd me saying, yo, man, you want to go pull up to whatever? I said, listen, why don't we set up a boxing match? He goes, let's do it. And then he blocks me 10 minutes later. So me and him were going back and forth in the DUI and all that stuff. So anyway, that's just wanted to share that story with you that I don't know, man, a boxing match might be due soon between me and one of these players once they get big enough.
Yeah, I mean, I watch the Raiders game. I just follow Carr because that's where my money's in. I watch all the Raiders game, but I don't dislike Jacobs. I don't like Jacobs. I'm neutral about that.
Is there so there isn't any basketball player, a young guy that you could say that guy Morant or someone that's going to be like really special that you know off the top of your head you can suggest?
No, not at all. I mean, there was Michael. And then there's LeBron. How often do you see them? Kobe. You don't see them that often. You'll see Lucas. You'll see Giannis's. I mean, a Giannis card for $2 million, that's fucking stupid.
It's stupid.
People spending that kind of money on a Giannis card is stupid.
How about Pat Mahomes? One just sold for like $90K. I don't know which one it was.
Yeah, no, Mahomes' best card's up to over 1.5 million now. Mahomes, but the thing is, you missed the boat on Mahomes. So people are like, why don't you invest in Mahomes? Well, motherfucker, Mahomes is 1 million. What am I going to flip it to? 1.1. I'd rather buy cars at $5,000 and sell them for 6 figures. I'm a visionary. I'm a businessman. There's no room to grow on Mahomes' card. You missed the boat. So you need to find things that are low. It's all the art of flipping. Buy low, sell high.
Exactly. All right. I want to just talk really about your career here. Cause again, you're like a I don't know if you want to say baller. I mean, you've got a beautiful girlfriend.
Oh no, I left her months ago. That shit's old. That's like,
oh yeah, that's old. Okay. I just read it. I thought you were still with her.
Nah.
It's funny. Cause she had dated Clint Kingsbury, correct? One of the Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah. And I used to be Cliff's friend, I used to go to all his home games last year. I sat in his press box every game last year.
Is he a nice guy? Because I was calling him a snake online because he ditched because I was a David Johnson shareholder in regards to.
I mean, there's a lot of things I could say about Cliff where he would lose his job.
Oh, okay.
That way, but I'll just say it like this: I'll keep my mouth shut, and he's lucky that I'm a good person. Yeah. Because there's some shit I could let out. He wouldn't even be coaching right now. I'll just leave it as that.
Okay, but from a sports perspective, is he a nice guy or is he kind of a cutthroat coach? Is he kind of like,
he's a pussy. Why do you think the players don't respect? Listen, I'll tell you the truth. When he was at Texas Tech, most penalized team in football. Why? Because he's a player's coach. He's soft. Cliff's soft. Okay, come the NFL, top 3 penalized team. I said you need to let Larry Johnson. I told him you need to get rid of David Johnson. Sorry, but he's too slow.
He was sluggish. He was, yes.
But I said, you gotta. I said you need to have a good tight end to run your offense. I said move Larry to tight end. We can't move Larry to tight end because of the ego. I can't tell them. Well, are you the coach? He's soft. So at the end of the day, I'm the one that told him to draft Andy Isabella, but Isabella can't run routes out the break. I told him to start Chase Edmonds. I saw the vision with Chase Edmonds. But the thing is, he's soft, man. And if you have a coach that's soft that people don't respect, you're not going to win. I mean, he's never won more than 8 games in his career. And he had Mahomes, Baker Mayfield, and Kyler Murray. Right. It's all because they thought he's the next McVay. McVay's a boss. McVay doesn't party. McVay's focused. McVay is a grinder. They thought he'd be the next McVay, but he's not. Just because he's good looking and he's marketable is why Arizona brought him in. And that's the truth.
Hey, he's just a pretty boy. But I just want to talk about your life. I mean, again, on paper, it looks really good. Like they say, Dan Blazarian kind of lifestyle. How does it feel to do what you do? I mean, you're not tied to any networks. Are you like any tie to ESPN or kind of an entrepreneur, self-made? How did it come to be? Like, did you start off doing this? Like, how did you come to get to the lifestyle that you have? Do you enjoy it? Just want to talk a little bit about your entrepreneur venture. How did it come to be, really?
I mean, I was a professional sports bettor my whole life, and then one loss, and it was so bad I went to Gamblers Anonymous. This is my book and documentary coming out, and then I finally realized beating the system was about money management and betting futures. So I broke all the records for sports betting. $2.5 million with Kansas City Royals, $2.3 million on the Broncos, the Misha Tate, the Holly Holm, everything. I broke every single record. And then the casinos didn't want to pay me. And I was like, what the fuck, dude? Pay me my money. And when I fought to fight the casinos, then they indicted me on 19 alleged felony counts. I faced up to 40 years in prison. So they banned me, didn't pay me. And then I had to fight for my freedom for 40 years in prison. After 3 years of fighting the feds, the case dropped. No prison time, no felonies. But what was I going to do? I'm not going to get a job. I'm not going to work, call another grown man a boss. I'm not going to work for another man. So I had to pivot. So instead of betting, I became a sports consultant. I flipped it. And it was a blessing in disguise. I'm grateful that the casinos are crooks. I'm grateful that they're greedy, because as a sports bettor, my goal was to make about $100,000 a month. Now I make $100,000 on a bad day selling picks.
Okay, so this is crazy because I'm actually, I don't know if you know this, a lot of people don't know this about me. My audience is 96% American. I focus on NFL football, but I'm actually based out of Toronto area. So what we do, I don't know if you know, have you been to Toronto much or no?
No.
Okay, so we have something called Proline. What it is basically you go to a variety store or like a shopper's, we call it Shopper's Drug Mart. It's a drugstore, but basically you go in there and you can bet on teams. So you could they set the kind of the odds. So you could do like a spread. So if you pick 10 picks, it pays out X amount, whatever, right? So the other day I went in just to do 6 point, like there's 6 teams or whatever it was. I went to do the spreads and they run it through a machine and says you can't, and then they're like, and I've never had this happen to me, like, you can't bet on these 6 teams. I'm like, go fuck yourself. What do you mean? So I went to another store. I'm like, the same thing. So what I think the government does, I'm like, can you explain this to me? And the cashier's like, well, I think what happens is too many people have that combination of bets. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me right now? I can bet whoever the fuck I want. So they control it. It's disgusting, man. I hate that.
Casinos are crooks. I just read something on Yahoo Finance that the New Jersey casinos are being sued right now by the government because they don't want to pay out the people. And when it's time to pay them out, they delay it for a month and try to entice them to keep betting. They're a bunch of crooks. It makes no sense.
I don't
they're
like
a multi-billion-dollar industry, but they're so fucking greedy.
It's like the lottery. It's all, I don't believe it, man. What are the odds you're going to hit? Like we call it a 649. You get 6 numbers out of 49. You hit them in the order, you win the odd. I never play it. It's just a way. It's just throwing my money away. I don't believe in it at all.
I mean, the thing is, like I said, the casinos are built on losers, not winners. There's a reason why there's a hotel going up in Vegas every year pre-pandemic. It's because they take the people's money. They're a billion-dollar industry because they bank on losers.
So let me understand how this happens. So basically, because you're doing so good, it's like this guy can't do that good. It's obviously fraudulent. Is that kind of the thought process here? That's what they're making it sound like?
No, they just didn't want to pay me. So they alleged that I used fake social security numbers to open up accounts and pretending to be someone else, which is crazy because everyone knows who I am. And when I walk in with a bag of cash for $500,000 to bet a game, they have to get approval and they all know me by first name. That's why at the end of the day, the 19 felonies were dropped. But at the end of the day, it was a blessing in disguise because I wouldn't, the reason I have all the things I have is because of the casinos. I'm forever grateful for their greediness.
So now you're strictly, is it strictly consulting? Is that what you do? Is that what it is?
Yep. People pay for my picks every single day. And that's it. I consult. I work every day, 18 hours a day, no days off. And my goals, I'm on pace to hit 100 million this year, which is crazy, and I'm not stopping until I hit the $1 billion mark.
Now, do you have a podcast or have you considered starting a podcast?
I'm too busy. I'm working 18 hours a day. I mean, just to schedule this with you, it took like 10, 12 days for me to fit in my schedule. As soon as this, I was on the Fat Joe show last night and I'm working basketball, college, NBA, football, NFL for this weekend. Hockey's coming back. So it's like, I don't have time to breathe. Every single minute I squeeze out of the day. So I don't have time. If I'm going to have a podcast, I want to be the best in the world at what I do. I don't do shit half-assed and I can't delegate the time for that.
This is way off topic, but I'm just curious because I see the character that's built online, the haters and all, but are you like a family guy? Do you have, parents nearby? Like what, are you a family guy? Do you spend time with family? Like what are your values?
Yeah, I live with my mom and dad. People think it's crazy. I choose to live with them. And I just bought them a brand new house, a dream house, for like $4 million. I give them the keys for it next week. People like, why do you live with your parents? Because they're my best friend. It's like, I love them. It's not like I live with them for financial reasons. It's because I had values. I still eat dinner with them 5 times a week at the dinner table. I'm a little bit different. When you come from immigrant parents, my mom is Japanese, my dad's Romanian, your upbringing is different. Right. And at the end of the day, I realized who my real friends are, and my parents are my best friends. So I have multiple houses. I have places in Cabo. I have places in Vegas, but I choose to stay here because I work all day. So when I have a conversation with someone, they're right next door. And that's just how I operate.
Now, in regards to success and entrepreneurship, I just want to pick your brain on this because I started from nothing. My dad was a steel worker, lost him in 2015 to a heart attack. So I commend what you're doing. The fact that you're with your parents is just amazing. I mean, you only have two parents, cherish them for the rest of your life. Thank them that they brought you into the earth. But losing him was a big drive for me. I took pain to get me to where I'm going now. But is there any tips or advice for entrepreneurs that, because you obviously probably do what you love. A lot of people are stuck in 9-to-5s, bullshit jobs, asshole bosses, which is what I was doing. I sold hydraulic cylinders, which is a bullshit job. And then I'm like, I love fantasy. I want to do this. Started off with a frame idea, now I'm consulting. I give draft kits. That's how I make money. Sponsors are on board. Manscaped come on board. I was supposed to do a campaign with Hooters. Last year, but COVID kind of killed that. Long story short, is there any advice on people that are from, like, I wouldn't say rags, but like 9-to-5, any advice to break out and have the financial success? I'm asking for myself, how to hit the pinnacle in the millions. Is it like meditation? Is it mindset? Is it just a lifestyle? Can you help us, please?
Okay, I'll give you some tips right now. So the people out there I always tell people in this world, you have two choices. You can have a boss or be a boss. The only difference between you and the boss that you're looking at, if you're at your cubicle right now, watch this, and you're looking at your boss, the only difference between you and your boss is that you quit on your dreams and your boss didn't.
Yep.
So you can build his dreams or you can build yours. Now I tell people, we live in the greatest era of technology right now. I run almost $100 million business off my cell phone and a laptop. Okay, the days of having a fancy office, overhead, lease, employees that steal from you, employees that sue you are just fucking headaches. All you need, dude, I worked for my parents' den in basketball shorts and a tank top and make millions. Yep. You don't need that fancy shit no more. You just need to have an open mind. And with the technology nowadays, you can run a business off your phone. And I tell people, work your job from 9-to-5, but build your fortune from 5-to-9. What's that mean is that you work your goddamn job, trading hours for dollars, making your boss rich. But when you get home, don't be playing no fucking Netflix and video games, watching Netflix video games, playing darts, drinking. Build your empire every night from 5-to-9. But people go home, they kick their shoes off, they put Netflix on, they watch TV, and that's why they're in that rat race. So again, work your job from 9-to-5, build your fortune from 5-to-9. And a key thing is surround yourself with positive people. For me, I had to get alone. I had to get rid of all my loser friends. I used to be in the nightclubs, I used to drink. I used to be out all the time. I stopped dating cocktail waitresses. I stopped hanging out with hosts, and I surrounded myself with more positive people, and I learned to be alone. So I always tell people, you are who you surround yourself with. If you hang around 4 bums, most likely you're the 5th. You need to wake your ass up early because only bums sleep in the double-digit numbers. I'm up at 3 or 4 o'clock every morning. A real boss wakes up early in the morning and grinds it out.
Do you have any kids, family yet, or no?
No, I couldn't have any kids because anything I want to do, I'm the best at, and I wouldn't even be a good father. He'd be like, it's time for soccer practice. I'm like, the game's in overtime. I can't take you. So
really, it's that busy.
Yeah, I don't want to bring someone in this world where it would be unfair for me to give them the lack of attention that I would give them.
So when you suggest a pick, I'm not going to ask you because I don't want to ask for anything for free, but let's say I'm studying right now. I'm looking like the Rams and the Packers. Packers are 7-point favorite. How much time of research do you look at? Do you just look at and that say, okay, I know that? Or do you spend like an hour analyzing statistics?
The playoffs already know it.
Okay.
I watched so many games. I mean, when the Vegas banned me from the casinos, I built my own sports book in my other house. So I watch every game. I already know who I'm going with already. I just got to make sure that the COVID injury reports last minute now because this year is a little bit different, but I can look at the game already and know which way I'm going.
So I'm going to ask the question that listeners are listening. How do you know that? Like, I don't want all your tips, but is there something you can say? Like, how do you know that? Like, is there something that you can kind of,
I know where the line should be in my head. And if that line's off, then I know which way to go. I'll just keep it like that. I know what the line should be. And based on where Vegas puts it, I know which way to go with it.
So if I want to get good at this, aside from just buying your picks at $1,000 a piece, is there anything I can do? Just keep studying, just keep practicing.
It's tough. I have people that want to pay $10,000 for a class. I mean, I could do a public speaking and make millions, but you know what? What I have and what I do can't be taught. And I ain't going to steal the people's money because you can't teach what I do. And that's why I make the fucking money I make. And that's why people pay me the money I make. It can't be taught. It can't be taught. I have a gift and I'm blessed.
No, it's amazing what you're doing. I think you should get I know you don't have time. I get it. But I mean, if you can make some time for a podcast, I think it'd be a very good podcast.
Yeah. My management team wants me to get one, but it's like, if I'm not passionate about it, man, I don't mind being a guest here and there. Like I said, I've been on a couple of big podcasts. I just came out the Fat Joe show last night, and I'll select the people I want to work with and I'll show up. But it's just like, I don't have time, man. If I have a podcast, I got to work 4 or 5 hours. I'm losing $100,000 from my business. It's taking away money from my pocket. I need to stick to what's making me money, and that's speed and execution of my picks. I can't be doing other shit.
Okay, let me ask you this one last question here, and I'll let you go. I know you're busy. I'm considering doing a fantasy league. I did one this year. I had the guy John Brotherton for Fuller House. I had the guy Tyler Hoechlin. I think he's playing Superman. I had another guy from Station 19. But I want to do another celebrity league with, like, I think Ken Shamrock was on the show. He wants to do. He's a big fantasy guy. Would you consider being in a fantasy? Would you even have time to edit a lineup for fantasy? No,
I wouldn't do it. It takes away my speed and execution for my players, and I'm not going to get something that I know I can't win. That I can't. I'm very brand sensitive. It's a no-win situation for me. If I win the league, anybody could have took those players, and if I lose, I'm a fucking fraud. I'm a scam.
That's true. Yeah, that's one more thing I want to talk about. I'm glad you brought that up. How do you deal? Because I have it a lot, right? For example, I don't do sports betting, but I do fantasy picks. So if I say a guy breaks out and he has a shitty year, I do better than the mainstream. Let's put it that way. They take last year's top finishers and say, hey, draft them again in this order. It's total cookie cutter. It's total bullshit. And that's why I'm taking over this industry. But how do you deal with haters? Is it something you've learned to filter out? I mean, you must get all the that guy, there's no way. And I think between us, haters are jealous because they're out in their basement doing shit. They're out there not living their dream. They're seeing your success. Oh, that's got to be fraudulent if he's driving a Mercedes or a Lambo. It's obviously not true because they can't understand that thought, but I just want to know how you handle it. I'm just curious.
I'm immune to it. I don't know what's going on. Like, I don't even read the internet. All I know is that everyday people talk about me, and I always tell people, haters are just confused admirers. I love the haters. It's free marketing with me. 80% of my players found me because other handicappers are talking shit. I said, if your handicapper talks more about Vegas Dave than his execution of his picks, no wonder you're losing money. I love when people talk about me. I love that Showtime depicted me the way they did. It's not true, but all it is, I've made a lot of money from that because all it is free marketing for me. And as I said, they're just confused admirers. And the day people stop talking about me means I'm broke. Right now, they talk about me every single day, which means I'm winning in life. I'm crushing it.
No, you're doing well. Attention is definitely a good thing. So yeah, I don't want to hold you up. One last question. I keep saying one last one, but I keep things coming up to me. World situation. I just want your thoughts on it. I'm a bit of a conspiracy guy. I think this is a government control thing. I understand the virus is real. There's no denying it. What are your thoughts on this whole thing? Do you think it's kind of BS to some degree? Obviously, it's real. People are dying. But do you think that the control is kind of overblown, the lockdowns, the shutting down? What are your thoughts on the lockdowns? Do you think things should open up? Or do you have any comments?
I don't really get into politics because no matter who the president is or what the fuck's going on in the world, I'm making my money. I don't let the outside world fuck with me. At the end of the day, I'm still working. I didn't even watch. I have never voted in my life. I don't pay attention to that shit because at the end of the day, I'm working. And if you're good at what you do, you're making money no matter if there's a pandemic, a flu, Biden, Trump, whoever the president is. That's just how I roll. So I don't pay attention to other shit going on.
I like that. I don't get into politics either. I just kind of wonder your idea on the lockdown, but I'm getting it. You're kind of on the same boat I am. I'm kind of in my own world. I'm online for everything that I do. And that's good for me. I'm providing for my family. And that's all that matters. It doesn't really affect it. But that's the problem. A lot of people think that because it's Biden or because it's Trump, that's going to really directly impact you. I think you can take control of your own lives, really.
Yeah. I mean, people are like, oh my God, if Biden wins, your taxes are going to go from 35 to 40%. I'm like,
make more money.
Make more money. Put an extra hours in. And when you're making millions, what's an extra 5%? Just makes me motivated to work harder. People always have excuses. At the end of the day, you control your own destiny. It doesn't matter if they take 50% taxes. I'm still going to be successful.
No, I love the line mentality for sure. Well, Vegas Dave, I appreciate you, man, being on. I know you're busy, got some stuff to do, but thank you guys. So again, can you shout out your stuff? A lot of people obviously know who you are. Just Google it. But
Instagram is my biggest platform where I share all my information. I don't just share information on sports betting. I talk about entrepreneurship, how to build a business. I'm not just a sports betting consultant. I'm an entrepreneur at heart. It's Vegas Dave, ITS. Vegas Dave. It's Vegas Dave. There's 100 fake ones. Look for the blue check mark to verify that it's me. And I think there's almost 3 million followers now on that account.
I appreciate it. Well, thanks, Vegas Dave. We appreciate your really good insight from the GOAT of sports betting. Thank you.
Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.